Hey everybody, I'm Preston Schrock. I'm a senior here at Talmadge High School, and I'm joined with my co-host.
And I'm Mr. Horner. I'm the principal here at Talmadge High School, and this is Between Two Blue Devils Revamped. And Preston, tell us a little bit about why we revamped this podcast.
So we revamped this. Mr. Horner came up and asked me, and I feel like it was really an exciting opportunity to hear teachers' perspectives on like their life and like stuff like that. Because I feel like as students we talk so much about ourselves and not about the teachers enough. So I was really excited to talk to teachers.
Yeah, and I'm super excited that Preston is my co-host. As many of you know, Preston is quickly becoming the voice of Talmadge, and he shares quite often about what he's passionate about and the things that he's involved in. He's constantly bragging about his teachers and his school. So it seemed like a natural fit that you would join me as we revamp this podcast and shared people's stories. Who do we have today? Who's our first guest?
So today we have Mr. Cameron Osborne, a social studies teacher here at Talmadge High School.
Yeah, Mr. Osborne, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, super excited that Mr. Osborne is joining us. For me, I've known Mr. Osborne for a long time, and when I transitioned from the classroom into administration, Mr. Osborne moved from the middle school here to the high school, and I'm sure you're going to hear all about that, but he is living in the room that I started off in. He is teaching advanced placement U.S. history, he's teaching psychology, he's teaching civic engagement, and he is doing an absolutely amazing job. So the question I have is this, though. So Preston, I asked you who you would like to interview, and the very first name that you came up with was Mr. Osborne. Why Mr. Osborne?
Mr. Osborne, so I had him first in 8th grade, and for U.S. history, and it was just, his class was great. He was super fun. Really just kind of spoke to me, like the way he was teaching, and really engaging, and it was just kind of awesome. So when he moved up to the high school, every time I would pass him in the hallway, I'd be like, "What's up, Mr. Osborne?" And yeah, he's definitely one of my favorite teachers here at Talmadge, and I was super excited to get to hear his story today.
Oh, that's great. I'm really looking forward to it. And I'll just make a side note, like Preston has always been a very personable young man. And when I came up to the high school, he would welcome me. So, I mean, as a teacher, that says a lot too.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. You are personable, and you have this infectious energy, something that Mr. Osborne has as well. Both of you have this welcoming presence, and that's why I think this conversation is going to be awesome.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure.
Well, Preston, why don't you kickstart it with the first question?
All right, so first question we got is, how long have you been in education?
Yeah, so you know what? I was thinking about this, though. I think I'm in my 23rd year of education. But it's really interesting because, like, if you look at where I've come from, it's been a whole lot of different stuff. I started off in elementary school for a couple years where I worked with students with disabilities. And then eventually I moved to the Talmadge area, started working in the middle school where I still worked with students with disabilities and kind of assisted in the classrooms, did a lot of co-teaching and resource rooms. And one day they asked me to start teaching history. And I was like, yeah, I love history. Why not? All right, and now I'm here at the high school. So lots of changes in 23 years, but it's been exciting.
That's awesome. So what made you want to get into special education at the beginning of your career?
Yeah, so you know what? Education, I do have background in education as far as family. My grandfather, which I'll talk about in a little bit, was in education, and my aunt was also in special education. And so I shadowed her at her workplace, which was actually the school I went to, and I really just enjoyed working with students who struggled. And so it actually wasn't one of my first majors. I mean, I started off in history, and then I was like, you know what? I'm going to add this minor in special education, and that's what I applied for when I first got out of school. All right, because really I was interested in working with those students and trying to help them grow in their understanding of the content.
So you where did you go to school at?
So there's this small rural school called River Valley, which is maybe 45 minutes north of Columbus. It's a county school. I graduated about 140 kids. Yeah.
So 140 kids. I mean, that's a small school. It's a small class size. I'm kind of curious. I hope I'm not jumping too far ahead, but who was Mr. Cameron Osborne as a high school student? What were you like in high school?
Yeah, so a little bit like I am today. I mean, I was extremely busy in high school. I did a whole lot of things. So, I mean, I was in sports, I was in football, track. I did all the music programs at the building. And because it was a smaller school in a different time period, you could do those things. You know, like I could be in football and then I could still be in show choir and band and choir and all these different things. So I guess you could say I was very busy in high school.
That's a pretty extensive resume.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I loved it, you know?
Well, I know you've got to have some questions because you're involved in some of those activities. Any questions about, maybe the position that he played or what he loved most about, which one was his favorite sport?
Yeah. So which one did you like the most?
Football.
What'd you play?
Yeah, so everyone's going to laugh at this, all right? So I was actually the offensive guard, so I was left guard. I brought down the average weight of our line by at least 100 pounds. They were all about 300, and I was 150.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, so my senior year, I was starting on the line, and it was, you saw all these huge guys, and because it was farmland, so like we had some big boys.
Yeah.
And there I was, this little kid, like amongst men.
Yeah.
But it was a good system. Our offensive strategy, I was pulling all the time. I mean, I was always in front of we did a lot of running, and I was in front of the running back a lot. So it worked out for what we were doing.
So then you must have demonstrated a ton of resiliency and just pure toughness. If that was your position and you were leading that charge against bigger bodies like that, I mean, you must have been sacrificing your body a lot.
Oh, I got hurt a lot. I definitely did. I had bruises all over my body. I broke my jaw one year. I broke my ankle one year. But kept going at it. I loved what I was doing.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, that kind of resiliency reminds me so much of like the resiliency that Preston has. He has persevered so much. I mean, I know you can certainly relate in your football career.
Yeah, definitely with between concussions and then this year with my foot being broke, injury, you could play and then injury.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can definitely relate to the injury part.
It's hard when you do that.
Yeah.
Like you spend so much time into something and then you have to pull back away from it.
Exactly. Yeah, it's really
There was
hard.
a couple years there were a couple games my senior year that happened too, and we were just waiting for me to get back in there. So it's hard.
Well, clearly Preston's foot isn't bothering him because I saw him dancing at homecoming this past weekend, and
Nice.
he was clearly working on his vertical quite often.
Busting the
move. But he certainly had a good time. So, when you think about where he went to high school and then some of the other activities that he was involved in, I mean, what else are you curious about, Preston, in regards to Mr. Osborne as a high school student?
So I guess with football and track, why choir?
So actually, music is really music is my passion. I like sports, but I'm not a big person to begin with. How I even got on the line is still a big question, in my life. But music is always the thing that I was really good at. So whether it was choir or band, I mean, I was in a ensemble, a guys group that we called GOP. It was actually stood for Guys on Pitch, but some people thought it was the Grand Old Party. There might have been a double meaning there. And then I was a part of a barbershop group for a while. I did all the musicals. I mean, band, I played the piano and guitar. Those are the things that I enjoy doing. And that's what I still do today too. So I'm still involved in music. Sports, not as much. I'm getting older, but music stays with you.
So it was interesting. I'm trying to remember what event it was that you spoke at. I think it was last year. Up onto that point, I had no idea that you could sing. I had no idea that you could perform. Was it National Honor Society?
National Honor Society.
I remember.
Yeah, recap what you were there. That was when you were inducted into National Honor Society. Tell us what you remember from that performance.
It was great. Probably knowing that it was Mr. Osborne, it shouldn't have been the last thing that I was expecting, but I was because Mr. Hungerford always preached about how this is such a formal event, and so I come in and I'm sitting down, and then Mr. Osborne gets up to speech, and it was a really good speech.
It was good.
But then he just starts singing in the middle of it, and it kind of caught everybody off guard. But it was awesome.
Wizard of Oz.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's prep yourself because we're going to probably ask for a sample here in a second. But I think, and he is certainly kind of like this Renaissance man. He's talented in everything that he does. But when you got up there and you sang, it was the first time, to my knowledge, clearly I'm not, not being in the classroom with you all day, but that you kind of opened up the window into that part of your life. And I know that, judging from the students and everyone who was there, everyone was wowed. I mean, I remember you were asked multiple times after that to sing it and to talk about it. So
in
I think
multiple classes in the hallways. I mean, kids were asking, "All right, let's hear the song again." It's like, I don't even know if I remember the words.
I mean, you want to share a sample with us? I mean, Preston said he'll sing with you.
Oh, whoa.
Listen, I sing all the time. Like when we're in class, like we'll be talking about something and a song will pop in my head and I'll just start singing.
Yeah.
And
I think, when we have these conversations, I think of all the teachers in this building, I feel like you and I are the most similar. Like when I see the things that you're doing in the classroom and I hear that you sing, you would sing to the classroom. Like I oftentimes would sing, or I would rap, or I'd make up a song and, just build that connection. It's exciting to see that connection that you have with your students.
Definitely.
So you were a show choir as well.
Yeah.
So you did a lot of dancing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Choreography.
Choreography. So the next time you speak at NHS, can we get some singing and dancing?
Maybe. We'll see. I have to practice ahead of time.
Yeah.
So, when one of the other things that I oftentimes think about, when I think about Mr. Osborne in high school, I wonder, what was your favorite subject? Why? And did you have a favorite teacher?
Oh, yeah. So obviously I loved music, but my content was history. I loved history. And obviously, because I'm a history teacher today, it's one of the reasons why I got into that. And not that it was my only subject, because I liked math too, and I was actually probably better at math than I was history, but I just loved hearing the content. And we talk about favorite teachers. It was my history teacher, and that might have been the reason why. I still remember, like, there's Mr. Jones. All right, he was kind of old school. Like, his style of teaching is not my style of teaching, but I was still just amazed by him. He would sit on this stool. He would be up there and he would just tell us stories. And that was his teaching style. And I loved it. And I'll tell you, he actually got me involved in quotes throughout my whole history career. I'm always teaching kids quotes, and it came from Mr. Jones. He always told me these great quotes from history or his personal quotes. And I still remember one of his personal quotes was, he said, the only perfect people in the world are bald people. And 20 years later, I finally understood what he was talking about.
That's awesome. So when you think about favorite teachers, and he's listing some of those qualities of favorite teachers for you as a current student, what are some of the, he mentioned that Mr. Jones was like a true storyteller, right? And he always was, kind of dropping wisdom on students via quotes. What are some of the qualities that appealed to you? So think back to some of your favorite teachers. What happens in the classroom that you love so much?
Definitely a lot of engagement with the class. Not really like, oh yeah, here's I assigned you something on your Chromebook, just do that, and then you got your tech. Like Mr. B uses the textbook. First time I've used the textbook in however long, but it's go read the textbook, fill out the questions. That's really it. But I like a lot of the engagement with the students, and I feel like that keeps me more drawn into the class, and that's probably just my favorite. That's what really makes a great teacher. That, and then the kind of the not just sit at your desk, but walk around and just talk to your students. Make a you see them every day for a whole semester or a year, depending on the class. Build a connection with your students that you're going to see every day. Don't just sit there and be okay, yeah, here's your busy work, and then I'm just going to sit here. Yeah. So yeah, that's probably the two biggest qualities.
Well, and you think about building that connection, and when when we sat down, we talked about Mr. Osborne being that first guest of ours. That was the first thing that you highlighted, right? It was his approachability and the fact that he takes time to get to know you, no matter what the situation might be. And I just want to ask you, Mr. Osborne, where does that quality originate from? I mean, when did building relationships like that and prioritizing them become a priority for you?
Yeah, well, I'm not sure the exact moment, but I would definitely say that I have changed throughout my education career as far as how I present myself and what I do and how I am as a teacher. And at one point, I remember telling my wife at home, like, I want to be there for the students. And it was when I was in middle school, so it's been at least 10 years ago.
Was it when you lost your hair? Was it when you started shaving?
Probably, yeah. It could have been. Yeah.
That was the transition to perfection.
I shaved my head when COVID hit because I was like, no one will see me. I'll see if it looks good or not. So, but that's
it
just a
does
side
look
note.
good. It does
It
look
worked
good.
out. Yeah, but it is true. So like one day I was like, I want to make these connections. I don't want to just be the teacher up there presenting information and facts. Like I want to have a personal like impact on their lives, and that's what I really hope for today. Still, like Preston is right. Like I want to really build those relationships with students, and even thinking about Preston, like it's kind of funny. So Preston's sophomore year, I mean, he was in my class a lot, but he was not one of my students.
Yeah.
But we were constantly connecting at that point, right, Preston? Like we were joking around a lot and telling stories, and like all my A-push kids knew Preston, but Preston was not an A-pusher. Should have been, but he wasn't.
Shame.
Yeah.
That'll be one of your regrets the rest of your life.
It will be, yeah.
I was in culinary, but I was done with all my, like when we wouldn't cook and we were doing the textbook stuff, I was like, oh, Miss Trank, I just go sit out in the hallway and then I just go to Osborne's room.
Hey, you audited it. That's
right.
That's even more than some people can say. You audited A-push, right?
He knew just as much history as the other kids did.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I could have passed that test. Could have got a 5 on it.
Yeah, sure.
Let's talk about like this desire to become a teacher. I mean, what age were you when you thought about becoming a teacher?
Yeah, so to be totally honest with you, I was actually in college when it actually hit me. So I went into college with a business and accounting major, and that's what I started with. And more because it seemed the easy way out. Mm-hmm. My dad had his own accounting firm, and I was like, all right, that's what I'm going to do. But I was miserable in business. I mean, you just know, you do something, you try it out, and I just did not like it. I didn't like the classes, I didn't like the content, even though like I was good at some of that information, I just wasn't enjoying what I did. And so halfway through my freshman year, I started just kind of reflecting on myself and thinking about the people who have impacted my lives, which would have been like my favorite teachers, like I said, to Mr. Jones was one of them, and then looking at relatives who were in education, my Aunt Lil, and then my grandfather was actually my middle school principal. Thinking back on those people, and it was like they had a positive impact on me. I really respect what they did. And then I just felt at that moment is when I felt a calling, like this is my field. This is where I'm leading to. And I haven't looked back since then. I've enjoyed it every step of the way. But like I said, it's middle freshman year, and it's kind of scary when you're like, oh, I just took all these business classes and I'm going to throw them aside and start something new. But it worked.
Yeah, can you remind us, where did you go to college?
Yeah, so Indiana Wesleyan University. That's like 45 minutes away from Indianapolis and Fort Wayne between the two. It's a private Christian school. Really great campus though, beautiful buildings, and just everything they provide for their students it's really nice. And it's where I met my wife. It's where my daughter currently goes. She's in her student teaching right now for education as well. So a lot of education in the family. Yeah.
Is that so? When you hear about that kind of a journey, how does that make you feel? As you're a senior now, you'll be graduating soon, and you're thinking about your future, and you hear a little bit about his path. How does that make you feel?
Definitely that it's okay to change my mind and to really like think about like, hey, like I really didn't enjoy this, so I'm gonna try this, and if I really enjoy this, then that's great. But if I don't, then I can always keep, trying to find stuff that I actually enjoy doing, because I don't want to be miserable working the rest of my life, and you definitely aren't. Yeah. From what I see in the classroom. That is a big priority. Like when we're at that age of going into college or a career, or going into the military, we have to know it's okay to not be excited about something and then want to transition to something else. Mm-hmm. I really think that's important, because we're so young, right? We're 18-year-olds making lifelong decisions. Most likely that's not going to be your lifetime job.
Yeah. I mean, odds are, yeah. I mean, the statistics prove that. And one of the things I like to, kind of along that lines, when I have conversations with students similar to you in your situation, whether you're, whatever of the 3 E's you're going to be doing, be adventurous. Like, let's say you do choose to enroll in college, take something that you wouldn't necessarily take, because the Preston Schrock at the beginning of his freshman year, whether it's freshman in the military, freshman in college, or freshman in employment, you're going to be a completely different person in just 1 year. I mean, the head's going to develop, the frontal lobe's going to develop, you're going to think, you're going to feel, you're going to look different, and you're going to have different desires and different interests. And so tap into that and do something. If you're enlisting, then maybe try to get certified in something that kind of challenges you while you're there. If you're seeking employment, continue to investigate and to explore, because there's a whole world ahead of you, and you will change. I changed multiple times when I was in college before I settled in education. So it's good wisdom.
And it's okay, because also as long as you have a good support group there with you along the step of the way. I mean, my parents supported me every step of the way, the decisions I made, and currently my wife and my kids, like everything I've done to get where I am today, there's been a core group there with me. All right, because we change our minds and we try different things, and you just have to just know it's okay. And in my case, I'm like, where's God leading me next? And I'm at the high school now, which is a great move.
Well, I'm hoping he keeps you here for a while.
Yeah.
So, well, you keep mentioning them, but I mean, you've heard how often Mr. Osborne has mentioned his family. Do you have any questions about his family at all?
Yeah, I guess just kind of tell us what is your what's all happening in your family like?
Oh, yeah, sure, I'd love to, because I tell you, family is probably one of the most important things in my life. All right, I always tell people it's my faith and it's my family. All right, and then we start getting to other parts of family. We talk about church family and school family because it's there, But I've been married since right out of college. So in 2002, I got married to my wife Brooke. We met at Indiana Wesleyan, and really interesting. So I was a senior, and I had actually never met my wife before. A small Christian campus, never met her before. Both in education, just our paths had never crossed. And there was a secretary who worked for the education department. She came up to me today with a tray of cookies, all right, and with a phone number in it. And she says, "Hey, would you please call this girl? All right, there's this, we're having this Valentine's gala. I really like for you to bring her to this. I know it's like a blind date, but she would tell us years later that she always thought that we were like her son and daughter, and thought that we would just go really well together. That's how she saw us.
Matchmaker.
Yeah, she was. It really was. So it took some conniving, because I didn't say yes right away. It took several rounds of cookies. We're just gonna be honest with each other.
So have you noticed that? Well, you probably have. That trend has continued on Thursdays with Cookie Thursday.
Oh yeah,
there's
right.
something, or is it Cookie Friday?
It's Cookie Thursday.
Cookie
You got
Thursday.
it. Yeah, Cookie Thursday is in Osborne's class. We love it. But it is true. Several rounds of that, and then eventually one day it's all right, I'm going to call her. Well, I called her up, and that's the beginning of our relationship. But she would tell you that she saw me as a choir nerd, just so we're all clear about this. All right? Because by the time I was in college, I wasn't big enough for sports, so I was doing all the music stuff again. So she thought I was a little different, but she's a beautiful woman. She is also in education. She works at Lake Center Christian School, where she's a 4th grade teacher, and she impacts children's lives all the time. And she's also really involved with kids in our church. We both are. Student ministry is that's what we do in our life, whether it's inside our workplaces or our personal lives. We enjoy working with students. So that's my wife. My daughter is, like I said, she's a senior. She's graduating a semester early. She's graduating this December, finishing up her student teaching right now. She's very stressed because student teaching can be stressful. She calls us frequently during the week asking her parent educators for help. Really interesting, because she did not want to be an educator because her parents were. Right, but here she is. But she's good. She's great with kids. So she's in a 4th grade classroom right now. She is getting married 2 weeks after she graduates from college. So on December 27th.
Wow, Christmas wedding. Nice.
That's right. That will be loads of fun.
It's going to be a busy break for you.
Yes, it is. It's already been busy. So, but we're looking forward to it. She's a young man named Luke Dennis that she's getting married to, and we really enjoy him. He's a good guy. And then I have one other child, that is Corbin, who is a lot of people who know me. Corbin he's into his 2nd year of the Air Force. Right after high school, he graduated. For years, we knew Corbin was not going to college. He was a smart kid, but he always wanted, he was always out doing stuff and busy with his hands, and you knew he had a different career path. So as soon as he graduated, he joined the Air Force, and he's been trying to do some different things in the Air Force, though, because he's most time we think of Air Force, we're thinking, all right, it's people working on the planes, right, the mechanics, or they're flying, and that's not Corbin. He's what they would call the boots on the ground for the Air Force. So he's actually training right now for what is called their SEER program, which stands for Survival, Evasion, Resistance, and Escape. And SEER candidates, if he makes it through the whole program, which he'll graduate beginning of January, which I might be going to the state of Washington in January. We'll see. If he graduates, then he becomes a SEER specialist, and it's not easy. There's a lot of guys that have entered that program and have already been let go or chose to leave because it's a very hard program.
So is that program kind of equivalent to their special ops then, or?
Yeah, it's what they call. They have a group called Special Warfare, and the SEER group is part of their Special Warfare, which is like special ops. So they can really do one of two things when they become a SEER candidate, which is they either go into special ops or they become a teacher, because they have to teach everyone who is being deployed has to be taught those four things: survival, evasion, resistance, and escape. All right, because if you get captured, you have to know what to do in those situations. If you get stranded somewhere, you have to know how to survive. So Corbin's being taught all this stuff right now, so then he could hopefully maybe teach other people too. Which is interesting because Corbin never wanted to be a teacher either. So he went in the military and he's like, oh, I might be a teacher. You know?
That's awesome.
Just in the blood, I guess.
Yeah. It's in the blood. Well, so it's awesome to hear about your family and hear about all that they're involved in. Do you have any other questions that you might have about his family?
So when it was the military game time, and we asked a bunch of teachers if we could interview them for if they had family. Your son's in the military. Did you have another family member that was in it?
Yeah. So my dad was actually in Vietnam, he's actually talked to a couple of my classes in the past years, just talking about his experience in Vietnam, because he was over in Vietnam for a couple years. He decided to extend his deployment because that way he could actually get out a little bit early too, because everyone was, it's very scary being in Vietnam at that point. And so my dad was in the Army, which is really funny because my dad jokes about the Air Force. He always told us the Air Force is the way you should go, because they had the Army base was right beside the Air Force, and the Army guys, they had all these barracks and stuff, which was just these wooden structures that they built, and they said the Air Force, they had a hotel, right beside them. So he's always telling Corbin, it's yeah, the Air Force is the way to go. So anyways, there's definitely family. Both grandparents fought in World War II. Well, actually, one fought in World War II, and then the other one was in the Korean Wars, and that's both sides of my family. So yeah, one was a Marine, and another one was in the Army as well. My grandfather actually got a Purple Heart. He was shot as he was the individual their job was to go into the caves and to make sure that there were no other Japanese in the caves.
Wow.
And so that was his position. He was the second scout. First scout got hurt and was sent away, and so because basically first scout you went into the caves first, and so the first guy got hurt, and so then my grandfather took over, and then eventually he got shot too. And his cousin, who was my grandfather's, he was a big guy. He was about 6'4". All right, his cousin, who was about, I forget what he said, it was 5'8", 5'9", ended up putting my grandfather on top of his shoulders and then carried him out of there.
Get out of here! Wow,
yeah.
That's like a movie.
Yeah, it's really really cool story. But he lived to be 94 years old.
Wow.
So, a question for you: Did you know this when you were growing up? Did it contribute to your love of history, or did you learn more about it after you began to love history and kind of move in the direction of becoming a teacher?
Yeah, that's a great question. Most of this comes after the fact.
Yeah.
My grandfathers both didn't talk a whole lot about the war itself when we were younger, and even my dad. Not that he didn't want to, but it's just not something that came up. But after my love for history began to develop, and then I started getting more into the content, and I started catching up myself, reading all these different books about it. I mean, then I started asking questions. So we basically we interviewed my grandfather before he passed away. So I have his interview information of his experiences. And then I've got the same thing with my dad. I've interviewed my dad, and I've got all his information, because just that, being able to be part of that and knowing that you were willing to, sacrifice for the country, I think it's so important. which is, my class, my civic engagement class, we're constantly doing stuff too to recognize veterans. All right, and it's not just my love. I actually asked my class yesterday. We have 28 kids in this class, and I said, hey, how many of you have loved ones who are veterans? And it was like everyone but 4 students in the whole class. All right, so like there's veterans all around us. We just don't think about it sometimes. So, but yeah, it's happened afterwards, really.
Yeah, so this reminds me of a conversation that you and I had earlier this week, and it's something that for our students who are watching and listening to this, and honestly to anyone, it boils down to just prioritizing curiosity, staying curious. When I was your age, I wasn't very curious. I was just kind of consumed with what was going on right then. For me, it was whatever sport I was playing, and I didn't really think much further than that. At the time, both my grandfathers were around, like you. One of them was in World War II, was a Marine. The other one served in the Korean War. My dad, too, is a Vietnam vet. I can remember some of my teachers being veterans, and I never asked questions. I never even thought twice. I just kind of assumed that they were there, that they would always be there, that at a later date I'll ask the questions or I'll express gratitude for their service. And then you blink and they're gone, right? It wasn't until I was in the classroom, studying history and reading, that I started wanting to ask questions and wishing that I'd had that opportunity. So be curious. That's why I love that you want to do this. Like you said in the introduction, right? You want people to hear other people's stories because you're curious. You understand the value in drawing wisdom from individuals, and we should all be that way. Just constantly learning what other people have to share and to teach us.
Definitely. I talked about my grandpa a few times. My grandpa Osborne, like he was my mentor. He's the person that I gained knowledge from and respect. And that he's the one who was a principal. He's the one who was shot in the war. But throughout my life, like he's the one I wanted to be like. All right, and I still want to be like him. I still look up to him. He's been passed away for about 10 years now, and I still constantly think about the effects that he had on my life and the choices he made.
Man, you should be very grateful you don't have a former Marine as your principal.
Imagine.
I'm sure the ability was
he was a big guy, so
Locked down.
Yeah. So when you think about this word curiosity and you think about another person's story, I mean, you have Mr. Osborne here. What question have you been dying to ask him?
Ooh. I guess with your faith, especially I know you are in church choir and stuff. When did you really start to get into it, into your?
Yeah, no, that's a good question because faith it's a cornerstone of who I am. If you want to know who Mr. Osborne is, it starts with my faith first. All right, and not, I don't really talk about my faith in the classroom, but I hope people look at me and they notice that there's something different about me. That's always been my goal. But it actually happened. I remember I was 16 years old, and I was at a church camp, and I'm not really one of those people that's all about the big altar calls and stuff like that. And that was not me. I remember I was in this little old dingy room that we had at this church camp, and I just started questioning how am I living my life? What do I want to be like? And it was then that I was like, man, I've been going to church my whole life, but that hasn't been my decision. That was really my family's decision. I've just been kind of following along with them. But at that moment, I felt like God was telling me, all right, what's your relationship want to be like? Who do you want to be? And so, like I said, 16, 17 years old, I made that choice. All right, this is who I want to be. I want to be a man of faith. I want people to see just the relationship I have, with my Savior, and that's the same type of relationship I want them to see coming out of me. All right, that's my goal as an individual. So, and since then, I'll tell you, it's a journey because everything I do, I'm constantly trying to improve myself. I really am. And there's lots of other people have helped me to do that. But once again, that goes back because I think that's what we should do as individuals. Whether you're someone of faith or not, I feel like we should try to improve ourselves. And as a Christian, I'm thinking, yes, that's what I'm called to do, is to become a better person, and then to help people around me. And I'll tell you, when I talk about becoming a better person, I've had lots of people that have influenced my life. I talk about my my grandfather, my mom, my dad, some friends, Mr. Horner here. Like, we've had some great talks and have encouraged one another, and he's helped me. He's recommended some books to me that I've read and have helped me be a better person than what I was. And so I would say that there's never a point where we should be satisfied with who we are, because we can always do something better.
It's interesting. When we were talking the other day too, as well. You know, we were talking a little science, and I know I've shared this with you, but I'm going to share it again. We talked about the concept of albedo, right?
Mm-hmm.
What, light reflecting light, and we talked about when you go out to the parking lot when you're leaving school, even if the sun is out, it doesn't bounce off of the parking lot, right? Because it absorbs that light. But then when you walk outside and there's a fresh coat of snow on the ground and the sun is out, it's like blinding, And we were just talking about kind of the light. What bounces off of us? What are we? And I can just tell you, Mr. Osborne, and I know Preston can attest. Your light is bright. It's reflecting off of you brightly. I mean, you certainly are this force of positivity and just inspiration.
Oh, thank you.
In the classroom, in the hallways, and in everything that you're involved in. I do want to give you a shout out about, and it's cool to hear the history. I had no idea that you had so much military history in your past and in your life, in your family. But then now I see how it plays out, because you are so heavily involved in honoring our veterans and those who are currently serving in the military. And I know that we've got some events coming up.
Yeah.
And we're going to post this next week, but between now and, you want to just kind of give us a rundown of some of the things that are going on?
Sure, definitely. First of all, it wasn't too long ago where we recognized the veterans at a football game, which went really well. We had several teachers, Mrs. Hedrick and Mr. Epstein, were helping run that up, and we raised some monies for a program called Alpha 11 during that time. But also just having the veterans there, and I think we should recanize them more often.
My dad was there.
Yeah, he was. I actually remember seeing him. So,
and he got interviewed by some of the students, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
It made my dad's day.
It's so important to recognize veterans. So there's two big things coming up for us right now. So and they're kind of connected. So our class is actually raising money for an organization called DAV, which is Disabled American Veterans. We've made like a really high goal, because we about raising money. We said, hey, let's try to raise $10,000. Now, we can get there? I had no idea, but it doesn't matter, because we talked about this. They made a goal, and I was like, well, why not make it more? Mm-hmm. Like, why do we settle for something that we know we can achieve? Why don't we set it a little bit higher, and then we have something to continue to push for? So we're doing that. We're raising money for this organization, and part of that goes to a lot of that funds goes to Disabled American Veterans, but it's helping us set up what we call a field of flags, which is what the organization DAV does, and we did this last year too. And we're hoping to every $25 we get, we also get this small flag. It might be like 2-3 feet off the ground or something like that, and then we're going to post it right in front of our school. We did it last year. We had them all around our flagpole. It's really cool. We do that for Veterans Day. Mm-hmm. And so when I talk about we're doing something else, so we are also hosting the Veterans Day breakfast and ceremony here at the high school, which is going to be on November 7th. It's a Friday. The ceremony is going to be from 9 to 10:30. And we're really looking excited for that. That class right now, the kids are starting to plan different things, and they're talking to individuals, or they're just doing so many different things that you wouldn't know, because it's all behind the scene. Whether it's the decorations, or it's getting the speeches ready, or talking to companies that might be willing to donate gift cards, or there's just so many things that go into it. So that will also, like I said, both those two things, they're kind of tied together, but they are to recognize our veterans. And I just think it's so important to do that.
Yeah, it is. Isn't that awesome?
That's great. Yeah, I remember last year's Veterans Day breakfast. I was in Mr. Anthony's class, and he was like, "Oh, let's go down." So I went down, and I sat down with one of my friends and his grandfather, and we were just talking. And my other friend, Landon Brown, he brought his dad, and like all my friends who were there, we all just sat down at that table, and we were just talking about like his experience and just like life in general. We were just, because he had so much, like he's so much wisdom. And it's great.
Well, they do. We don't take advantage of talking to not just veterans, but people a little bit older than us. We don't take advantage of that enough. Right?
Yeah.
And this veteran celebration is a great time. Like we bring the whole history department down there, and we sit around and we talk to veterans, and they've got some good stories.
Yeah.
Right? Not just stories about their time in the military, but personal stories too.
Mm-hmm. So, and this would be an opportunity now to encourage anyone who's watching or listening that if you know a veteran, please invite them. If you are a veteran who may not have a child or grandchild here, but you're catching this on YouTube, you're invited. Here's an open invite. Just reach out to Mr. Osborne or to me, Mr. Horner, at the school. Call us, and we'll make sure that we give you the details. But we want every single individual who is currently serving or has served to join us, because we truly want to honor each and every individual who's making that choice to protect our nation.
Yeah. And it's definitely like a great time, because no, you're right. Like, we don't take advantage of talking to veterans or just older, wiser people in general, because like, especially like for me, like I'm a 17-year-old kid. I'm like, I don't have all the knowledge, like, but while they don't have all of it, they have a lot of good knowledge that like, can help me, like, oh, like I shouldn't, like, not that I shouldn't do this, but they did this and it didn't really work out for them. Like, you might want to steer clear of that. And that would help me, not go and spend time doing this when I could be doing this, because that isn't for everyone.
Yeah, sure.
So, yeah, definitely a lot of wisdom that we don't take advantage of.
We got to remember that the people ahead of us, they've already made the mistakes that we're probably going to make too.
Yeah.
Right? They can help us to prevent us from making those same mistakes.
Exactly.
We just got to reach out.
Yeah, so it's two things that just came to mind as we're talking, and I think this is what the beauty of this Revamped podcast is as well, and the advantage that you have, and if a young person is actually watching this and listening to it, the advantage that they gain. When you're living life, if you want to live it to its fullest potential, you should always have someone who is pouring into you, and then there should be somebody that you're pouring into, somebody who is older, that's dropping wisdom into your life, someone who's walking shoulder to shoulder your age and you're living life, and then someone below, younger than you, that you're sharing your experiences with as well. And then that last comment that you made, I don't know who to give the credit to for this quote. I'm kind of probably butcher it, but it's in total alignment with, and I want to say Henry David Thoreau. I feel like it might have been one of those classical authors, but it basically was this: sure, I like to fail, but I would rather learn from other people who have failed, and the premise, the point of the quote was in a section in a book that I read about the importance of reading. Like we have at our disposal so many books and so much information online that we can just glean wisdom and other people's past experiences, and we can learn from their failures and kind of expedite our own personal growth. My concluding question that I have for you, unless you want to keep going, I know we're almost at 45 minutes. We were like, at one point we're talking, we try to keep it around 25 minutes. I'm like, oh, Preston,
Too much to talk about.
When you get involved in this, it's like, I remember, the original podcast, I would try to keep it to 30 minutes, and then I'm like, you know what, screw it. This is my podcast. If people don't want to listen for an hour and a half, they don't want it. So, but we can keep going. But what's on you? And I'll tweak the question. But what's on your Mount Rushmore of books, right? Or like sources of information? Because I know a lot of times people are either listening to podcasts to kind of feed their mind, or they're reading books, or they're following somebody on a social media platform that's dropping. Like I watch Ryan Holiday, I listen to his podcast every day, and I watch his shorts on Instagram. I mean, what on your Mount Rushmore of gleaning wisdom from others, what might it be?
All right, so I'm more of a book person than anything else. Like that's actually one of the things I really enjoy doing in my spare time, and I read all types of books too, like whether it's what we call our self-help books or sci-fi, or history books. Like I'm constantly reading different things. But well, first of all, the Bible is on, like, that's my top book right there, because there's just so much stuff we can learn from it. And once again, like, it doesn't matter where your faith is, like, you just start digging into that thing and you're just gonna be shocked at how much wisdom there was actually in there, and how you can grow as an individual and grow in your faith. So definitely the Bible. Another book I would say is, if you've ever heard the book, it's called The Best Yes. It's a book that actually my wife and I read a few years ago. It's by last name is Lisa Turquist or Turkhurst, something like that, if I remember correctly. Great book, but the best yes sometimes is no, and that's the bottom line. Like, we have to weigh our decisions on what we are going to agree to do and what we're not going to agree to do, because as an individual, my wife and I, we do a lot of things together, and we've always said that if we're going to do something, we want to do it well. Like, I don't want to just do something half-heartedly. If I don't have time to do something, I don't really want to commit to it, because I want to make sure that I'm doing things to the best of my ability, and I want to give it my all. So sometimes, like I said, the best yes is no. I can't commit to this right now.
And I don't mean to cut you off, but I want to make a point right at this point. It makes me very happy to hear that you've read that book and that you're recommending that book, because Preston, and you'll recognize this as you kind of move up in whatever world it is that you're doing in the next chapter of your life, that when you have somebody of Mr. Osborne's caliber on your staff, all you want to do is outsource more responsibility. Like, I go to him a lot, and that can be flattering. Sometimes you're like, you want to say yes because it flatters you, and you could do a good job with it. But to have the wisdom to know that you've got to, sometimes the best yes is no, right? Hey, I can't put into it what I really want to, so I got to say no. Maybe check with me next time. But that makes me very happy, and it sounds. I think that's one. I made a note of it. That might be my next Amazon purchase. But
and that's happened before with us too, right? Like, I've said yes to a lot that Mr. Horner's asked me for, but there's been a couple times where I'm like, I can't do it.
Yeah, and you know what? And I'm not bitter about it. It's like, I completely get it, because, and I respect that, because priority number one, faith. Priority number two, family, right? And we often talk about, and a lesson for everyone to learn is that if you're not taking care of yourself, you can't take care of others. You got to continue to become the best version of yourself, and then allow that to influence the decision making that you do as far as what you're involved in. So sorry I didn't cut you off, but I want to say I'm so thankful that you do follow that rule. And any other sources of content you want to recommend?
Let me tell you one more book, and it's actually a book that's been out for a while, but Mr. Horner is the one who recommended it to me, and then I read it. I think it was my first year at the high school, and that's How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Yeah. Dale Carnegie.
Yeah, I tell you, that book actually, it really did change me as an individual. And my wife would tell you that too, because if you would see me in the school setting, I'm different when I'm out in public. I'm actually I tend to be a little bit more shy, like reserved. I don't really get out and like, I'm not the person who will go out and just start talking to people. But after reading that book, I was like, I could do this stuff. Like, I can talk to people. I can get out and just start introducing myself and learn about their lives. And my wife would tell you, she's like, who is this person? Like, because she was always that's who my wife was. And now she's like, what's my husband turned into? And I was like, well, you can thank Mr. Horner for that.
Yeah.
Do you have a question that you want to wrap up with?
All right. Life quote or mantra. What you got?
Besides, baldness equals
perfection.
Yeah. Well, I know that's a good quote. But I would tell you that it's actually a verse that I'm going to tell you. It's my favorite verse in the Bible. All right, and it says, "Do not conform any longer to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, His good, pleasing, and perfect will." And to me, like, personally, that challenges me to be who I am today. Right? Like, we talked about how I always am trying to improve myself. I don't want to be bogged down by everything around me. I just want to become a better version of myself. And I think I've been challenged, like the Bible challenges me to do that. And like I said, that verse, that's in Romans 12 too. But that's really what I try to do in every area of my life, whether it's my family, or it's, like I said, my activities at church, or what I do at school or friends. And I even tell you, we're doing I do one word projects, which also is a Mr. Horner thing that started at the high school years ago. But I do one word projects, and I choose a one word that is going to help me better myself. All right, and I actually chose the word this year. It's a combination, but it's fireproof, because I want to protect myself from everything going on around me to make sure that I don't get brought down. Right, and I don't want to get destroyed by people's negative attitudes or comments. I don't want to get bogged down by like just the stress and pressure of life, because that can happen. So I got this word fireproof, because that's what I want to do. Like, I want to come out of this year like full steam ahead, better than what I was before. Like no scars, no burns, just like, I got this.
Wow. So Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't
that's
mean to cut you
enough.
off.
That's really good because I feel like, I feel like we could surround ourselves like these like nowadays like with like everything happening outside and forget like actually like ourselves. We try to like, I know like speaking from like a lot of like my friends or like kids like in my grade, like everything is about like I hear a lot of what's happening like around, but not around like not a lot of like what's happening with us like as students, as people in general. And I feel like that's a super important thing.
Yeah, well, it is because really, like, all of us, we all can be a better version of ourselves, right? Like, there's something we can all strive to do. And for you guys, like, whether we're like freshmen to senior who are older people, whoever's listening to the podcast, that's still true. It doesn't matter where we're at in life, right? We can challenge ourselves to do something that we've never done before or be something that we never thought we could be. So it's exciting when you start doing that to yourselves. You're like, oh, I can change a little bit, but it doesn't change who I am inside, right? It just makes me better than what I was.
I love the concept, just a renewing of your mind. And I think about how this another quote where like you never want to be the smartest person in the room.
Yes,
right. It's
great
that
quote.
Curiosity thing where you want to value whomever is around you and what they can add to you as a person, so that you are on that constant pursuit of growth. And we'll be honest, for the young listeners right now, it gets to be hard work. I mean, as you get a little bit older, it takes a ton of intentionality to continue becoming the best version of yourself because you're tired. Sometimes you get sucked into doom scrolling and you become very, you're affected by what's going on around, and you oftentimes feel like there's no chance to influence things, and you really can, and you've got to put guardrails. You need to be fireproof, and one of the things that we talk about a lot, especially on Thankful Thursday, is just expressing gratitude. The more you can express gratitude, the more you'll control like your whole mindset, right? A lot of times, a lot of people like say, hey, start the morning off with a gratitude journal. Write down 3 things that you're thankful for. I know in our class, in your class. When I was in the classroom, when we're walking the hallways or before I let kids in, it's like turn to your neighbor, talk about something that you're thankful for, thank. But part of the reason we do that is because there's this chemical that's released in your brain that changes your outlook. And you then are, you're one step closer to becoming the best version of yourself. And I know, for me, one of the things that I'm continuously, and I know I've said it before, but so grateful for is who you are as a person, and the way that you inspire students and staff members to become the best version of themselves. I'm walking away from here wanting to go renew my mind even more and pursue that path of growth. And I just want to thank you for what you bring to this school. You are a major contributor to what makes Talmadge High School what it is. And, we have a theme, that you are loved, you belong here, you have purpose. That is prioritized in your classroom and in every one of your relationships. So on my end, I just want to say thank you. And thank you for sharing and dropping some knowledge on us today.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, thank you guys. I really do appreciate it. And thanks for those comments too, because we need that, right?
Yeah.
Individuals, we need to hear that we're doing things well sometimes.
So, one of my favorite proverbs, anxiety in a man's heart weighs him down, but a good word makes him glad. So, if you're listening to this or you're watching this, you need to go find somebody right now, drop a good word, pay a compliment, say that you're thankful. Preston, I got to say, man, I am thankful that you wanted to resurrect Between Two Blue Devils and be my co-host.
And I'm thankful that you had me, that you would have me as a co-host. And
there was never a doubt when we talked about this, when I came in and talked about the podcast and they're, like thinking about doing this. I mean, you were the first name that came to mind because I think that highly of you. And I got to tell you, our first episode,
success.
What did the kids say was a banger?
Banger.
That was a banger. Okay.
It's perfect.
Well, you want to wrap us up?
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Mr. Osborne, for joining us today. And that is episode 1 of Between Two Blue Devils Revamped with Preston Schock and Principal Mark Warner.